Have you ever found yourself just staring at your phone, feeling this weird mix of being completely overstimulated but also entirely unmotivated? Well, let me tell you, you are definitely not alone. Today, we're unpacking a massive psychological roadblock that affects pretty much all of us in the modern world. In this explainer, we're diving deep into what's known as the dopamine trap. We're going to explore exactly how constant digital stimulation is quietly hijacking our nervous systems, spiking our anxiety, and completely wrecking our ability to concentrate. But more importantly, we're going to map out exactly how you can break free and reclaim your focus and ultimately your confidence.
Okay, picture this highly relatable scenario. You sit down at your desk with a super clear goal. You're going to finally finish that project, read that chapter, or just write that one important email. But before your fingers even touch the keyboard, you feel this tiny, almost magnetic urge to just quickly check your phone, right? Well, 45 minutes later, you are deep into an endless scroll of short videos, totally derailed. So why is it so incredibly hard to just focus on a single task these days? Why does a simple, everyday objective suddenly feel like you're trying to climb Mount Everest?
You start seeing these really common modern symptoms pop up. Low focus, weak discipline, emotional instability, skyrocketing anxiety, and this sudden unexplainable drop in your self-confidence. If you're experiencing any of these, I want to validate something for you right now, and this is absolutely crucial. You are not lazy, and you are definitely not mentally weak. Society loves to tell us that our inability to focus is just some personal failing, but the science actually paints a completely different picture. These symptoms are a direct biological response from a brain that is fundamentally overloaded by modern design. You are literally fighting against highly engineered systems that were custom-built to capture and hold your attention.
So let's jump right into part one, redefining the dopamine drive. To understand how the trap works, we first have to understand the bait. You know, we always hear dopamine described as the feel-good chemical, but actually, scratch that, because that's a massive misconception. Dopamine isn't just about feeling pleasure. It's the actual engine that drives human behavior and ambition. It's all about motivation, the anticipation of a reward, desire, and habit formation. When you anticipate a reward, whether that's eating a delicious meal, earning a paycheck, or getting a like on your latest photo, your dopamine levels spike. This chemical is literally the thing that gets you off the couch to take action in the real world. In healthy amounts, we absolutely need it for survival and for achieving our goals. But here's where things get really fascinating, because we are dealing with a massive evolutionary mismatch. Think about it. Thousands of years ago, humans had to seriously struggle for their dopamine. Hunting for food, building shelter, literally just surviving, all of those rewards required immense physical effort and a ton of patience. And today, high-level stimulation is available the exact second we open our eyes. We can trigger massive dopamine spikes instantly through our phones, endless scrolling, or online shopping, literally without even getting out of bed. This hyper-availability of totally unearned rewards completely short-circuits our natural built-in drive to do hard things.
Which brings us perfectly to part two, the instant gratification trap.
You see, our brains are unbelievably efficient machines. By design, they want to get the biggest reward while spending the absolute least amount of energy possible. So when you constantly bombard your brain with dopamine spikes from social media, rapid-fire short videos, gaming, junk food, and just checking your phone every 3 minutes, your brain adapts fast. It becomes totally conditioned to this high-speed, effortless stimulation. And the unfortunate side effect? Slow, difficult tasks like reading a book, studying, or doing any kind of deep, meaningful work suddenly feel agonizingly boring. Your nervous system essentially becomes addicted to novelty, which makes regular, everyday life feel painfully dull. And honestly, nowhere is this more destructive than on social media. These platforms are basically weaponized dopamine machines. They use endless scrolling and unpredictable rewards, meaning you literally never know if the next post is going to be funny, enraging, or beautiful, to keep you absolutely hooked. But the real psychological damage happens when this behavior quietly turns us into passive observers. When you spend hours a day just staring at a screen, watching life literally replaces living life. It pulls you completely out of real-world action, which, by the way, is the only place genuine confidence is actually built.
And let's be real about the cost of just observing. Our brains are hardwired to compare. When you're constantly fed images of perfect bodies, impossible luxury lifestyles, and heavily edited happiness, your brain naturally compares your regular, unedited life to these highly curated highlights. The inevitable result? Deep, heavy feelings of inadequacy, insecurity, and this persistent nagging thought that you are somehow falling behind everyone else. It deeply weakens your self-worth,
all while giving you absolutely zero tools to actually improve your own situation.
Let's move on to part 3, artificial rewards versus real confidence.
Psychological studies have consistently proven that delayed gratification, which is just the ability to sacrifice a little short-term pleasure for a massive long-term benefit, is one of the single strongest predictors of success in life. Full stop. But the dopamine trap trains us to do the exact opposite. Today, whenever we feel even a tiny hint of discomfort, boredom, stress, or anxiety, what do? We instantly grab our phones like they're adult pacifiers. By constantly demanding immediate rewards and totally refusing to just sit with the little discomfort, we destroy our ability to delay gratification. This traps us in an awful cycle of procrastination and unfinished goals that ultimately leaves us anxious and just disappointed in ourselves. But here's the thing, your brain is way too smart to be fooled. It clearly separates the fake from the real, and it deeply, deeply respects earned progress. It inherently recognizes the massive difference between cheap artificial stimulation and genuine achievement. Scrolling might give you a temporary buzz, but it always leaves you feeling incredibly empty afterward. On the flip side, genuine achievement, like finally learning a new skill, solving a complex problem, or crushing a tough workout, requires real effort. And because it requires effort, it creates lasting pride and real self-respect. Temporary pleasure is simply not the same thing as earned confidence, not even close.
All right, time for the good news, part 4, escaping the dopamine trap. So, how do we get out? The very first step is a massive mindset shift. A lot of people view discipline as a restriction, like a straitjacket that boxes them in. But psychologically speaking, discipline actually creates freedom. Think about it. Without discipline, you are completely at the mercy of every single notification, every random impulse, and every chaotic wave of emotion. But when you develop discipline, you gain the ultimate freedom. The freedom to control your focus, manage your energy, and actually make choices that align with your long-term goals instead of just your immediate cravings. So, here is your practical, everyday roadmap for a dopamine detox. The goal here is to intentionally reduce high stimulation, to let your brain's reward sensitivity finally reset. Step 1. Cut the unnecessary phone use. Just stop the mindless scrolling. Step 2. Practice deep work. Give your full, undivided attention to just one task at a time. Step 3. Exercise regularly. Putting in physical effort does wonders for regulating your dopamine. Step 4. This is a tough one, but embrace boredom. Try just sitting in silence for a few minutes without immediately reaching for a distraction. And step 5. Actively practice delaying gratification. Now, when you first lower that massive level of stimulation, it's going to feel uncomfortable. But very quickly, your brain resets, and normal, healthy activities actually become incredibly enjoyable again. And when you actually implement these steps and let your overstimulated mind catch its breath, the psychological transformation is just wild. Your attention span noticeably stretches out. That natural internal motivation to tackle difficult goals comes rushing back because your dopamine receptors aren't constantly flooded anymore. You'll start noticing a massive increase in emotional stability. You'll just feel calmer and way more grounded. And honestly, perhaps the coolest part, when you finally embrace a little silence instead of constant noise, your creativity comes roaring back. Amazing ideas and insights naturally bubble up when you actually give your brain the quiet space to think.
I absolutely love this because it all really boils down to one incredibly powerful realization. Confidence grows when people learn, I can tolerate discomfort. We live in a world that literally profits from your distraction, a world that hands you a million different ways to instantly escape any negative feeling. So actively choosing to sit with discomfort, that is a profound act of psychological strength. Real confidence isn't built by endlessly consuming content. It is built by facing the hard things, doing the actual work, and proving to yourself that you don't need to run away and hide inside a screen every single time things get a little quiet or challenging.
The strongest minds today are not the ones being constantly stimulated. They are the ones capable of aggressively protecting their attention. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a question to really chew on today. Are you going to continue escaping your life through artificial stimulation? Or are you ready to take back your focus and start fully participating in the real world again? The choice and the absolute freedom that comes with it is entirely yours. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I really hope this gives you the actionable tools you need to finally reclaim your mind.